The truth about balancing it all. What I'm getting ready to share, I'm like, this might undo everything, right? Everybody, oh no, see, I knew it. She does too much. There's no way. It's not realistic. Can't keep up with that. I guess with that, we will just get into it. So, hey, Courtney Sanders here. Welcome back to my podcast. And on today's episode, I wanted to talk about the truth about balancing it all. This, by far, is one of the biggest questions I get, particularly on Instagram. You know, people see me post about the places that I'm traveling, or sometimes they see posts like with my nanny, or I do have a meal prep chef that comes on Mondays and helps out. And so people are like, oh, okay, all this support, how are you getting things done? And then, everyone knows that I have a team, and they imagine that, things must be easy for me at this level. And while I'd imagine it's certainly easier than it would be if I didn't have the support. So I definitely recognize the privilege that I have, but that privilege was hard earned, right? It was definitely something that I decided that I needed to have, and something that I did all the things necessary in order to get to that place. But even with that, understand that balancing it all still might not be what you think. And so I just wanted to do this because I know so many people are like, oh, my life will change, or, everything will be perfect or super easy when I get to a certain level, when, whatever, maybe I can have a housekeeper, I can have support, or, then I can balance it all. But I'm finding that balance is kind of a myth, and it's not what you think. So yeah, I guess with that, we will just get into it. So I have a bit of a confession. I've actually been really nervous and reluctant to even bring this up, because I was like, oh, I know when I'm going to say this, people are going to be like, what? They're going to think this is crazy. And I'm already dealing with this issue where I share with people my best tips and strategies and what's needed to succeed and how I do things. And I'm noticing that the more successful I get, the more people are kind of writing me off as like, oh, yeah, it's easy for you, right? Now, those of you who have been with me from the very beginning, right, and remember when I was Think and Grow Chick, or remember when I was fresh out of college, or I was on YouTube doing the hair videos, have seen my growth and trajectory, and, know that this is something that I have really built and worked over time. However, there's new people to my community who are honestly looking for a reason why this isn't going to work for them. And that's a whole nother discussion. Maybe I'll do another podcast episode on that, but that's me putting my coaching hat on. I know that sometimes we have these ingrained patterns where we're just so used to believing that something won't work for us, or that we're not good enough, or whatever, that as soon as we find something that we believe is a reason, we go for it. So anyway, I know that is something that I contend with, and that I'm contending with even more as my business grows and as I achieve new levels of personal success. And so that is why what I'm getting ready to share, I'm like, this might undo everything, right? Everybody, oh no, see, I knew it. She does too much. There's no way. It's not realistic. Can't keep up with that. All right. For the last week or so, this is my second week doing it, and I'm actually really enjoying it. But for the last 2 weeks or so, I've been getting up at 2:30 in the morning. Yes, 2:30 a.m., right? And before, but you don't sleep. Hey, I go to bed at 8:30 p.m. But I tell you this because it's related to what we're talking about today, with this truth of motherhood, marriage, making money, doing all the things. For the record, before I even get into why I've been getting up this early and how it's connected with today's topic, understand that I do not recommend that you do that, right? I don't recommend that for everyone. Maybe it could work for you. Maybe if you're a super morning person like me and you would enjoy it, but I do not recommend that you get up at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not recommending that you get up at 2:30 in the morning. Okay, so what had happened was, right, let me back into the story, and then I'll share how this is all connected. So for me, even though, yes, I know I have support, I have a nanny, I have a housekeeper, I have meal prep chef. And I didn't start out with all of this. These are support that I've added to kind of my domestic home team. That's what I call them, my home team, over time. When I first got married with my husband, we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I told him before we even got married, I was like, look, I'm one of those women, I'm going to need a housekeeper, and I need you to agree to this from the very beginning. And so we had a housekeeper come every 2 weeks. And so eventually we've upgraded her to once a week. Lately, she's been coming twice a week because the kids just trash the house. That's a whole nother discussion. So I'm aware that I have support, but again, that's support that I've built over time. But even with that, I found that I was having difficulty doing like my core thinking work, right? So what I'm doing right now, content creation, to me, this isn't thinking work. This is actually fun and pretty easy for me because I've already outlined what I want to talk about, whether it's on a YouTube video or a podcast. Like by the time I get to the place where I'm creating content or doing a YouTube video or a podcast, I'm essentially just turning on the camera and I'm just going, right? But there's a lot of like CEO work, thinking, high level strategy work that I need to do. I talk about this in some detail in my CEO series, which you can check out in previous podcast episodes around the level of like thinking, decision making, hiring, thinking about money, all the different things that I need to do now. And that needs to be really focused, diligent time, right? And so before I started waking up at 2:30. And for the record, I don't think I'm going to be doing this forever. I do think this is like a temporary thing, but it's what I'm doing right now and it's working. And I'm actually like really grateful for it and enjoy it. We'll get there. But before then, I was waking up at like 5:30, which is still early. Like that's early, right? For most people. But I was waking up at 5:30. You know that I do my prayer and Bible reading and all that in the morning, and I be praying. Okay, this is not some little like drive by, like thank you God for my day, right? No, I be in the prayer closet on my knees, like Lord, like literally, because you know the Bible says like bring all your cares to the Lord. So every little detail in my business, things going on with the kids, whatever stuff, praying for my husband, his job, all kind of stuff. I laugh with God, joke with God, like we have that relationship, right? So I might pray in the morning for like 30, maybe even 45 minutes in addition to reading my Bible. So, you know, I'm up at 5:30. By the time I've, you know, done my prayer and reading, you know, got some water, use the bathroom, like do all that, an hour has gone by, right? So then it's 6:30. And so at the time at 6:30, then I was hopping on my Peloton because I am one of those Peloton moms. And I was working out. Usually do like a 45-minute workout. And so then I quickly, get dressed. So from 6:30 to about 7:15, taking a shower, getting dressed. And then around 8, I have to get my son together because I got to drop him off at school at 8:30. Now, depending on if it's daylight savings times or not, I'm either meeting virtually with my team over Zoom, either at 7:30 a.m. or after daylight savings time or during it, whatever it switches at 8:30 a.m. And the reason I do that is because for those of you that don't know, I have a global international team, right? A lot of my team is based in South Africa, but I have people all over the world. And just for the sake of everyone's schedule, it works best at the time that happens to be super early in the morning for me, right? So I'm on the meeting either at 7:30 a.m. or, you know, with the time change, maybe 8:30 a.m. And I change it here in the US because we're the ones that switch our clocks and do daylight savings time. The rest of the world doesn't do that. So they're like, why does our schedule have to shift? Because y'all are fiddling with the clock. So I will make the adjustment. So by the time I'm either like having the meeting with my team, taking it in the car, I'm taking my son to school, you know, coming back, rushing, whatever, I don't really get to sit down and do work until about 9:30 because the meetings can run, on average, they run about 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. I'll go grab myself breakfast. I make my little avocado toast with smoked salmon, sit down, right? I'm like at my desk now, maybe like 9:30, 10. Let's call it 10 a.m., right? So now, okay, I'm working, right? So from 10 a.m. to about 12:30, I'm working, but then my husband comes home from work, right? Which I'm grateful for, you know, he likes to check up on me. He's my coworker, even though he has a quote unquote real job, a 9-to-5 job at an office, but I'm grateful that my husband loves me enough that he takes time out of his schedule when he's able to. Sometimes he's, meeting with, his coworkers and different things, but if he's able to, generally, he comes home from work. And he's picking with me, what you doing, coming in my office, eating his lunch, chatting with me about random stuff, whatever. So he's back. So he leaves, around 1:30, heads back to work. So let's just call it 1 now, and that's being generous. I'm going to call it 1. So now I'm working again until about 2:30, 2:45. And now I have to go, get my things and pick up my son and sit in the pickup line and do all that stuff to pick him up from school at 3, right? So then we come back. We come back to the house. Let's call it 3:30. We're back at the house. My nanny is still there. If she's cleaning up and dealing with the kids, and I might have from 3:30 to maybe like 5 to finish things. And then about 5, she's wrapping up. It's dinner time. I'm really adamant that I want to have dinner with my kids, especially because I haven't seen them all day because they're at school, or even my daughter who's home with me. My nanny is there and she's, I'm dealing with my daughter while I am working. So whatever I'm doing, I stop. And I make sure that I am, having dinner with the kids. And if I so happen to get up late that day, that window from say 3:30 to 5 is also my like backup workout time. So if for some reason I got up late or things ran over and I wasn't able to get in a workout, I will usually do it in that window. And then I'm having dinner, with my kids. My husband works long hours, sometimes he's coming home around, on a good day, like 6:30, but it could be 7 or even 8. He's coming home and, catching the tail end of dinner with the kids while he's heating up some food and then finishing up even more work, late into the evening. So, okay, by the time it's 6, we're having dinner or whatever. My nanny is straightening up. I'm chit-chatting with the kids. Now it's about 7. We've had dinner for an hour. I've asked my son how was school, all these different things. 7:30, I'm taking them upstairs. I'm giving them their bath. Again, I'm very adamant where I at least want to be there when they wake up. I want to see my son in the afternoon. I want to be the one to pick him up, and I want to be the one to put them to bed so they don't feel like, oh, mommy was locked away in her office the entire time. So I'm giving the kids a bath. 7:30, 8, I put my daughter down first. We do the whole routine, read books, sing song, whatever, she's down. And then I do the routine all over again with my son. He's almost 5, so he's in that phase where he's stalling a lot, right? Oh, I want water, I want this, I want super long, drawn out bedtime routine. It takes like 45 minutes to get him down, but he's finally down around 8:30, right? So 8:30, let's call it 9. Now I have the rest of my day free. And so for a long time, that intense thinking work, I was frustrated because I was finding that it was difficult for me to get it done for a few reasons. One, because I do have that daily stand-up so early in the morning. It's like the first thing in the morning. There's fires to put out, right? We're doing the daily stand-up. My team's got questions. So this customer service email came through. Can you ask this? Your attorney wants to know about this. Your accountant is asking for stuff. This person is requesting an interview. There's admin things that they need. And while I can get a bit of hardcore work done, I can really only get things done that I can do in an hour increment or 90-minute increments. Because remember, I'm not really at my desk until 9:30, 10, and then I have till about lunchtime till my husband comes in. So that's a natural interruption. And then after he goes back to work, I have another 90 minutes until I have to pick up my son. And then I have another 90 minutes until, it's dinner time after I come back to the house. So there's not a stretch to really knock things out, right? And then on top of that, I have to share that stretch of time with meetings, because it's not just my daily stand-up meeting. Right now we are revamping my website, so I'm meeting with the web designer, or I'm trying to write this book and I'm meeting with the publisher. There's always meetings. Sales teams got questions. They want to have a meeting with you. This person, people that I've hired, they have questions, right? And so I was really starting to understand this the CEO's problems. In fact, there's an article, I'll link it in the description or in the caption, in fact, there's an article, I'll link it in either the description of the video version of this podcast or in the show notes of the audio version of the podcast. But I came across this years ago. I want to say it was written by Paul Graham, who's the founder of Y Combinator, which is a famous tech startup incubator. I want to say, did Uber come out of Y Combinator? If not Uber, some other big tech companies that we all know today came out of Y Combinator. Anyway, the founder, who's in this startup venture capital world, wrote this article called Manager's Time and Maker's Time. And he talked about how managers or CEOs or decision makers, people who are managing people all the time, are often have their day where it's like constant meetings, right? And I know that that's something that frustrates my husband even in terms of his job. Part of the reason why he works long hours and then has to come home and like do more work in the evening is because as an executive at his company, most of his day is taken up by meetings, decision making, answering questions. So there's not a lot of space to like actually get the work done until he gets home. And so this article really talks about that. And so I find that now that I'm at this level where, again, I was the one who raised her hand and said, I don't want to be just a coach and I don't want to build a business. I want to create a company. I want to be a CEO of a coaching company. I am running into that CEO time, that manager's time, not that maker's time, right? Before, I used to have a lot of time to dabble in content creation and read books and pontificate about things and be philosophical and kind of be this, creative, like free-spirited person. But now that I have team that I'm working with, and again, they're all over the world, and then I'm a mom, I'm a wife, like I have to spend time with my family. Not I have to, I want to, right? I want to give my kids a bath in the evening. I want to take my son to school. Like I want to do these things. I find that even though it could look on the outside, from the outside looking in, it could look like, oh, she has so much time and she has all this support. The way my day is broken up, I do have time to get things done, but I don't always have time to get some of the important but not urgent things done, right? Particularly that like thinking, peaceful work where you really need a stretch where no one is bothering you and you can just kind of like focus and get things done. And so I was kind of mulling over this and I actually stumbled across a video on YouTube. The YouTuber's name is Jennifer Scott. She's actually I think a New York Times bestselling author. She wrote, her channel's called The Daily Connoisseur, and she wrote a series of books around her experiences in France. As you may or may not know, I'm a bit of a Francophile in that I love this concept of like, French women style. And I'm a sucker for those books. Any of those like French women don't get fat, French women do this, bringing up bébé, right? That was a book that I read when I was pregnant about how French women parent. Like, I just love the concept of like how French women do things versus, schlubby Americans. Just kidding to my American kin, right? Before y'all light me up in the comments. I'm just kidding. But I do like, these kind of French, je ne sais quoi, whatever, type books. And so Jennifer Scott, who is an American, went to France, I think in college or on some sort of like exchange program and learned about French habits. And so she's got this really amazing YouTube channel that I highly recommend you check out, where she talks about how she still incorporates a lot of these habits, which really are around elegance in her day-to-day life. But there was one video that she did around the time of the pandemic that really struck me. And it was a question that she received in her audience around how do you like homeschool your kids and like make these videos and then write your, best-selling books? Like, how do you find time to do it all? Because I think she has 3 or 4 kids. I don't know. And she was, I don't know if she's still homeschooling them full time, but she was homeschooling them full time. She had like a new baby. I want to say her baby was definitely under a year old. So I know she was up in the middle of the night, dealing with the baby and all of that. And her answer, it was like painful, but good. She was like, many of you aren't going to like this. But she's like, the truth is, I am often staying up late to get this done because it's important to me. And so there are many things that I sacrifice. So she's like, I sacrifice that Netflix and chill time. I sacrifice X, Y, and Z because it's important to me during the day to be able to homeschool my kids. And even when they're napping or otherwise working on an activity, I can't really get that like creative thinking work done. And so I reserve that into the evening. And so I've sacrificed my evening, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make because this is the life that I want for myself. And these are the things that I want to do. And that really struck me. And I understood what she was saying. And so I was kind of in this conundrum of like, I'm dealing with the same problem. How do I get that stretch of like time to really do this thinking work? And for a while, I was trying to do it in the evening. So, I'd put my kids down, my son, 8:30, maybe 8:45 if he's like stalling, doing the I want to drink a water thing. And my husband was already up, at 9, he would have ESPN on in the background and he's like working on his laptop. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just, stay up next to him and we'll chit chat and I'll kind of get my work done. The only problem is I am not a night owl. I actually hate staying up late, right? I'll do it for fun if there's like something going on, a party we're going to, or seeing a movie, a date night, something like that. But to be up just to be up, and certainly to be up just to be working, I hate it. Like, I just hate the way I feel so exhausted staying up. Like, my brain is fried. I feel like I'm so active during the day that if I'm even if I have the energy to be up in the evening, I don't want to be up. Like, so I found myself doing work, but it was taking me so long. I was not creative. I was kind of like cursing the fact that I was up, and I just was really resisting it. Like, I just didn't like it. Half the days I would just kind of like give up and just go to bed early and keep pushing the work off, this like creative, important, but not urgent work. I would keep pushing it off, but it was never getting done because the only time I had to do it was late in the evening. And I hate staying up late in the evening because I feel like my brain is fried. And so, I'm dealing with this conundrum, and I pray, right? So literally one day, this was actually a year and a half ago as I'm recording this. So I pray to God, and I'm like, God, tell me what time you want me to wake you up, or you want me to wake up, right? And I told y'all I have this kind of not a crazy relationship with God, but God speaks to me in these like wild scenarios. And I did a podcast about this a long time ago in 2018. You can check it out. I will link it in the description as well. But yeah, this is an honest, like sincere prayer. In fact, that evening, I want to say it was like Sunday evening at the time that I'm doing this prayer, I'm like, God, whatever time you tell me to get up, right? Famous last words. Whatever time you tell me to get up, God, I'm gonna get up. Like, I want to be the best. Like, and that was the prayer specifically. The prayer was, God, tell me what time you want me to get up in order to be the best. I want to be the best mom, the best wife. I want to be the best business owner. Like, I want to be the best. In order for me to be my best, what time do I need to get up, right? I kid you not. No sooner did I pray that prayer, did utter dread come over me, because I already knew it was about to be something ridiculous, like dread. So I think I prayed this prayer probably in the morning on a Sunday, because that's normally when I do my prayer time, in the morning. And all day I'm dreading going to bed because I'm like, God gonna wake me up at some ridiculous hour. Like, why did I pray this prayer, right? So sure enough, I can't stall anymore. I'm getting sleepy. It's evening time. And so I'm like dreading it, but I'm going to bed awaiting, and I did not set an alarm, because that was part of the prayer too. I said, I'm not going to set an alarm. Whatever time you want me to wake up, God, like, wake me up. Y'all. I go to bed. I wake up to the fire alarm in our bedroom blaring because the batteries are out. So this was about a year and a half ago as I'm recording this. We had newly moved into our house. So we had only been in our house for a few months, a new house, still had boxes laying around. Quiet as it's kept, we still have boxes laying around, right? I hired a professional organizer. She's coming to help. I'll talk more about that later, or after that experience. Maybe I'll do another podcast sharing how working with a professional organizer went. But I say that because, it's like move-in stuff. There's all kind of little things that you need to take care of. The only alarm in the house, the only fire alarm in the house, or smoke detector, that's what it is. The only smoke detector in the house that was going off was the one in our bedroom, blaring. And not only was it like beeping, it was talking. It was like, whatever, low battery, change batteries now, low battery, loud. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? Flabbergasted, fiddling for my phone. Y'all, why does the phone say like 2:09 a.m. or something crazy like 2:09, 2:08? And so I'm like sitting up and I'm trying to get my husband up. I'm like frantic. The smoke detector, do you hear what? And he's like, groggy, whatever, because he stays up late. So he probably just gone to sleep. So he's like heavy sleep. I'm like, how do you not hear this? This is the loudest thing ever. Like so loud that I literally like left the room. I went to go to sleep upstairs because I was like, this thing. So I'm literally telling myself, I'm like, there's no way God wants me to get up at 2:09 or even 2:15 or even 2. God don't want me to get up at the 2 a.m. in the 2 a.m. club. Like, that can't be right, right? Now, granted, again, we had just moved into this house. My daughter was under 1. So I was like sort of still getting up sometimes occasionally to feed her in the middle of the night or whatever. So it wasn't outside of the realm of me. Like, there were a few nights a week or mornings a week where I was getting up at that time to deal with my daughter. But the prayer was, what time do I need to get up to be my best? Sir, you do not want me up at 2 a.m. So I dismissed it out hand. I was like, this is a coincidence. The fire alarm batteries just need to be changed. That's not the time, right? So I go upstairs and I go back to sleep. Don't set an alarm. And I wake up at like, I don't know, 5:30 or 6 or something like that. And I'm like, oh, this must be the time that you want me to get up, right? But I still have the dread of like, did God really want me to get up at 2 a.m.? That can't be right. So the next day, so it's Monday, I, was kind of like talking to God, like praying to God, like, what was that about? Like, do you want me to get up at 2 a.m.? This doesn't seem right. This can't be healthy. Like, you don't want me getting up that early. What is the deal, right? But I'm like, just to test it, I'm also not going to set an alarm. And I'll get up at the time that you have me get up. So this time I decide I'm gonna sleep upstairs in part because I'm like nervous about what time I'm gonna get up, but also, again, as I mentioned, my daughter was still nursing and being up in the middle of the night. So I was like, let me just kind of like hang out here. I'm gonna sleep up here just in case. I don't even know what's happening. Just in case I have to get up super early. I don't want to disturb my husband. Like, this is an experiment. God, what are you doing? Let me just, whatever. So I go to sleep upstairs. Again, no alarm, same prayer. What time do you want me to wake up? And I wake up to this loud, like, thump. And it sounds like a generator or something had like shut off. I don't even know what you call it, but like the big power lines, and they have the big, I don't know if they're called generators. There's like a word for it and I'm blanking on it right now. Breaker or something, but it's not a small thing. Like those big, you ever been like in a thunderstorm or something like that? And like lightning strikes like one of the electrical lines near your house, and like power in the whole neighborhood goes off, but it's loud. You can hear the whatever it was that got struck. That's essentially what happened. So this was happening during Hurricane Nicholas. I live in Houston, Texas. Google it, Hurricane Nicholas. This was like September 2021, right? That's how I know this was like a year and a half from when I'm recording this. Everything was dark. Now all the lights were already off in the house, obviously, because we were asleep, but it was like pitch black because now like whatever, the alarm clock lights are off, like all the little whatever night lights, little glowing lights that you have around your house, security alarm, like all that stuff. Everything was black because all the lights were off, and it was loud. I could hear whatever that electric thing like died, right? So I'm like, what? So I'm picking up my phone, and sure enough, I think at this time it said like 2:28 in the morning. But I'm like, what is going on? There's a hurricane outside, or, well, it wasn't a hurricane like right where we were, but super bad storms, trees blowing everywhere, like terrible weather, right? Stuff, flying around outside. Shout out to those of you who live in Houston. You know what I'm talking about, that season, hurricane season. Even if the hurricane doesn't hit Houston, there's like very loud winds, and all the power had gone off. Not just in our house, I could tell, looking across the street, in our neighborhood, and, no power. And I had heard whatever it was die, or the thing break, because it was loud, like it was a big crack. So I'm like, oh my goodness, 2:28, right? At this point, I'm like, this is a mistake. I don't know what's going on. I'm psyching myself out. God is not telling me to get up at 2:28 or to anything. I'm about to go back to sleep, right? Tell me why I get ready to go back to sleep. I look at my phone. An alarm has been set for 2:30. I swear to you this happened. I am not lying. An alarm has been set for 2:30 that I did not set. Now, my daughter was playing with my phone earlier. I think what happened is she was playing with my phone and accidentally set an alarm for 2:30 a.m. But what are the chances? What are the chances that this would happen to me 2 nights in a row after specifically saying this prayer? And like I said, I know some of y'all, listening or watching to this might be like, she's crazy. Maybe you don't believe in God. That's fine. I believe in God. I specifically asked him for time. This happens twice in a row. It's early 2 a.m. And then on top of that, I'm getting ready to go back to sleep. And an alarm I did not set, apparently an alarm that was set accidentally by my daughter, is set for 2:30. So at this point, I'm like, okay, the answer is clear, but I'm like, impossible. 2:30, who gets up at 2:30 a.m.? Clearly you don't want me to get up at 2:30 a.m. So I'm ashamed to say, despite all of this happening, and I have it documented because I journal. That's another thing. I journal my prayers and prayers answered, prayers that I have, whatever. And I'm glad I journal it because I could fact check myself. That's how I knew it was Hurricane Nicholas, because I looked at my journal before doing this episode and I was like writing out that that's when this was happening. Guys, all of this happened in September of 2021. I'm recording this in April of 2023. Just now talking about I've been getting up at 2 a.m. or 2:30 a.m. for 2 weeks. Why? Because I said, I don't know. I don't know why that happened. But clearly God doesn't want me to get up at 2:30 a.m. And I just ignored it. I just didn't, whatever. I just started getting up at 5:30 and 6 like normal. Because it was so preposterous to me. It was so ridiculous. I was like, this is not, God don't want me up at 2. This is not it. But then fast forward, rewind to maybe about a month ago, right? My husband had a health scare. He's fine. But he had a health scare. You think the worst, right? You automatically think about the C word or something like that. And you're like, oh my goodness. And so we were kind of freaking out. Works up at the doctor's, all this stuff. He's fine. But, at that time, we were very much like, everybody in this house is getting the diet together. Like, we're eating clean. We're doing all these amazing things. And I was juicing for my husband. And even afterwards, it was like, okay, it's still recommended that we continue eating healthy and that we keep juicing and all of that. Now, I know, because some of y'all are going to be like, but you have a meal prep chef and all that. Yes, the meal prep chef makes dinners, like general family dinners for us. She makes snacks and lunches and different things for the kids, but I didn't want to burden her with making like separate meals at that time for us, like just in case we like had this health scare, right? And so again, my husband's fine. It ended up being nothing, and so he can eat normally. But at the time, I was like, no, he needs special meals, and I'm gonna be juicing and doing all of these things. So that was about a month ago, and so I had this stress of like, I still feel like I'm not getting the critical work done that I want in my business. Like, my business is running and everything, but there's like advanced strategy level stuff that I want to do that I'm just not getting done because of the way my schedule works in the day and the time. I'm just not getting it done. And then on top of that, this like, health scare, which ended up being nothing, but I was like, springing into action, like, no, I'm managing his food. I need to make sure everything is together. I found myself revisiting this conversation around what time should I get up? And so then I remembered that whole scenario that happened a year and a half ago where, I don't know, call it what you want, right? And I was talking to my husband about this. I was like, what would you do in my situation? Like, is God telling me to get up at 2:30 a.m. or not? Like, it sounds preposterous, right? But oh ye of little faith. And so I'm kind of like arguing. I'm like washing the dishes one day and I'm kind of arguing with God about this. Like, 2:30 a.m. That's so ridiculous. Like, I already get up at 5:30. I'm gonna be so tired. Doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I get up at that? And I just have a thought, right? And I think perhaps God dropped this in my brain. I started thinking about newscasters, right? Early morning news. We think about the people who are on the Today Show. I read an article about Gayle King. I forget the show she's on, Good Morning something, I don't know. How she gets up and has been getting up at like, I don't know, 3:30 a.m. for like 20 years as a result of her job. I started to think about surgeons. I started to think about the doctor who delivered my daughter when she came at 1:30 a.m. By the time we got to the hospital, it wasn't even my main doctor who delivered my daughter. It was another doctor who just happened to be on call. I started to think about all these successful people, all these people that we rely on who get up at seemingly crazy times, super early in the morning, pilots, whatever, and they make it work, right? And it was almost as God was telling me, like, it's not as preposterous as you think it is. Like, society wouldn't run if at least some segment of the population didn't get up early. So it's possible, right? So once I thought about that, I was like, well, it's worth trying out, right? You ask God for this, O ye of little faith, like, at least try it out, right? And so I'm not gonna lie, the first about 3 days were hard. Physically getting adjusted to getting up that early. However, now that I'm in my second week, it's not that bad and I really enjoy it. And I'm not tired because I've shifted my hours, right? Getting up at 2:30 a.m. would have been ridiculous if I was still going to bed at like 10:30 or 11, but I go to bed like at 8:30. And I'm finding that just shifting those hours has helped me be more productive because I can still get up. I still do my prayer and reading time. And then I have a super quiet house and I have like 3 hours to do that thinking work. And then I go do my workout. And then I get dressed and have my team meeting, get my son together and take him to school. And then during the day, I'm doing things like this, creating content, answering questions from my team, et cetera, manning the household. I have time to whatever, juice for my husband or do these different things. And then towards the evening, my husband usually has to work in the evening anyway at home, but usually about 8:39, he's got to work anyway. So that evening time wasn't even like great couple time. Like we were chilling and like talking to each other, but we were both kind of like on our laptops getting things done. So this is the schedule he has to keep for the time being for his job. And so I just give the kids a bath and I put the kids to bed. And then I say, okay, babe, I'm getting ready to go to bed. And he'll usually sit with me for about 15 minutes, 30 minutes, just so we can like catch up and, kind of reconnect. And then I take my butt to bed, right? And I found doing that again, not only am I not tired, but it's made our connection time on the weekends that much richer. Like we look forward to date night. We had a date night not too long ago. We look forward to actually spending time on the weekends. No, I don't get up at 2:30 a.m. on the weekends. I sleep in on the weekends. Usually Friday, I get up 2:30 a.m. on Friday, and then I do stay up or like hang out or, go somewhere. I am tired, but even if I'm going to bed at like 10:30, that's enough to get it so that I'm getting up at a normal hour on Saturday. And so I'm hanging out Saturday, I'm hanging out Sunday. I usually will take a nap in the middle of the day on Sunday and then still go to bed early on Sunday so that I'm naturally getting up at like 2:30 because my body's pretty well rested from like all the naps during the day. So it's kind of crazy that it's like actually working out, but I find that it's like moving things forward in my business. I feel more productive, not just in my business, but also at home. I feel good that I can get work done. And then usually around like 5:30 before I work out, I usually spend a half hour to an hour just, again, getting my husband's food together, making sure my son's stuff is like ready for school or whatever, like kind of puttering about the house, like the domestic stuff that was like falling through the cracks. I'm like doing the wife and like mom stuff. And then I found that over the weekend, I wasn't stressed about things that weren't done. I could really focus on my family. So anyway, so I tell you all this, not because I want you to get up at 2:30. Trust me, don't do it. Like, I do not recommend you do it unless, like me, you have a special case or you feel like this is something that God is like telling you to do. Pray and see what time he wants you to get up. But I say all this to say that the truth about marriage, motherhood, and making money, right, as a businesswoman is that me personally, I don't believe in compromise. Like, I'm super uncompromising. But to live an uncompromised life where you do have it all, you have to be willing to sacrifice. I find that most women who are in this predicament, who are stressed out about all these different things, are experiencing compromise because they're not willing to sacrifice, right? They're experiencing compromise maybe in the meals. Maybe they feel bad about the meals that their kids are getting. And I'm not blaming any woman or anything. I'm just based on conversations that I have with moms and women in my audience. And I know this stresses women out around managing all of these things. I find that oftentimes there's like compromises happening where, and I know for me, definitely compromise at home in the sense of, I've talked a lot about how it took me years to get the house decorated because I was like so focused on building my business and even just getting things organized, or maybe there's compromise again in the food and the nutrition that you're feeding your family, or just compromise in the time being spent. Or maybe you're doing those things, but there's compromise in your business, and there's compromise in your pricing, and you're not spending the time to come up with high value products that can allow you to command the type of prices that you really need to be charging in order to make the kind of money that you need to get the support that you need at home so that you can truly do this full time. There's all these compromises happening because a sacrifice has not been made. And so that's why I'm super grateful for that video by Jennifer Scott, where she was honest, and she was like, now for her, she wasn't getting up early in the morning, but she was staying up in the evening. And she's like, look, there are things that I sacrifice in order to have this life, but this is the life that I've wanted, right? And I'm finding that I'm coming to the same conclusion. I want a life where I am present and available for my kids, where I'm the one taking them to school, and I'm the one picking them up, and I'm the one, having dinner with them and giving them a bath. I want a life where I'm having date nights with my husband, and we're traveling all over the world. He came with me to my trip to South Africa. We're going to Europe this summer. Like, we're doing all of these amazing things. I want a life like that. But that life requires, one, that I work for myself, right? So I'm in business. And two, that I focus on making my business as successful as possible so that I can generate as much revenue as possible so that I can afford that support. But in order to be able to do that, there are times in my business where I really need to focus and get that important high-level strategic work done. Right now, I am in a season where it's not really feasible for me to do that during quote unquote normal working hours. There's other work that I can do, but that high level work I found kept getting pushed to the wayside. And so a sacrifice that I am willing to make is essentially I am sacrificing kind of those dead weight evenings, right? Yes, I'm sacrificing my evening. Yes, I'm sacrificing Netflix and chill. I am sacrificing some time with my husband in the evening, but none of that to me was quality time, right? I'm like half asleep anyway, watching Netflix when I should be working. My husband's got to get his work done for work anyway, because he's in meetings all day. I'm intentionally sacrificing that so that I can have more time super early in the morning. For me right now, it's 2:30 a.m., which is like preposterous to say. But I am making that sacrifice later in the day so that I can have it earlier in the day. Now, before people are like, but you're sacrificing sleep. I don't feel like I'm sacrificing sleep. I'm getting the same amount of sleep that I was getting when I was going to bed at, 11:30 and waking up at 5:30 or 6, right? So my sleep hasn't really shifted, just my hours have shifted forward. So I don't feel tired. Like, I feel well rested. It's just around 8 o'clock, I put the kids in bed and I'm about ready to go to bed too. That's it, right? Again, that's my sacrifice. That's a sacrifice that I was willing to make, but I was willing to make it so that I don't have to compromise. And so the truth about all of this, the truth about balancing, is that you really can have it all, but you need to decide what you're willing to sacrifice. And for me, that was worth it, right? So it's a crazy, long-winded story, but yeah, if you're like, how do you balance it all? One, I don't believe in balancing it all. I believe in blending it all in, but how I blend it all in, it doesn't require compromise, but it does require sacrifice. But it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. So I'm not telling you to get up at 2:30 a.m., but do think about what sacrifices are you willing to make so that you can have the life that you want, because you will have to make them. So hopefully this has been an enjoyable podcast. If you are listening to this on the audio version, you can come over to the YouTube version of the YouTube clip and go ahead and drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. And then obviously if you are checking this out on YouTube, you can go ahead and leave a comment below. But with that, I will see you in the next episode. Bye.